Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and Uncanny Avengers, issue number 30. Okay, now I wasn't particularly happy with the whole Juggernaut thing, but I'm not happy with the way that anybody writes the Juggernaut, so there's that. But in this one, at least, we get to see there's actually a lasting effect. Synopsis, she's jacked up. All right. She wakes up in this one and she's like, what's going on? And you can see the Inhumans all over the place. And, you know, they're all like, hey, yeah, Pietro left you this letter. Here, read it. It's a love letter. He's basically pissed off and he's going to go join like an X-Men franchise or something. Anyway, he's like, I'll be there if you need me. Shut up, dude. So later on, we also wind up seeing that the Shocker is in prison. He's about to be sentenced. He's in a courtroom right now. And Rogue shows up and she's like, yeah, I'd like to speak on his behalf, to give a little bit of a character witness to him. And she talks about how in the Secret Empire crossover here in the Uncanny Avengers, he was actually a very heroic character. He was very self-sacrificing, which, yeah, not too many people were. Lady Scorpion and all that stuff. They're like, run away. They totally Monty Pythoned it. So she speaks on his behalf, and it's like, he's smarter than he thinks, and he's braver than he'll admit. So I think that should be considered. Now, one of two things could happen here. He's still going to wind up going to jail with some really harsh sentencing, and we'll see a really cool storyline with him where he's got to deal with stuff in jail, and he's, abused or whatever, because without his gloves, he's a regular guy, I would actually like to see something like that. There's something similar to that going on in the Iron Heights penitentiary over in the Flash comics, and I'm digging that storyline. They could do something like that here also. Obviously not in this book because it's ending, but what a shame. Anyway, we can also wind up seeing that maybe, just maybe, he'll become a good guy. And he'll be a very flawed good guy, but he'll be a good guy. The character himself, Herman Schultz, he's not tragic, but he is broken. So he's like, that broken hero thing. As long as they do it better than Venom Lethal Protector, I'll read the damn comic. I'll read any comic that's got him in it because I think that he's a really cool character. I know he was a joke in this Earth 1610, but this isn't 1610. It's 616. So there's that. Jericho, Drum, and Wanda Maximoff. Yeah. Dr. Voodoo gets some voodoo placed on him by the Scarlet Witch. She's, she's all talking, just like, hey, baby, you're all big on that spiritual side, but what about the kinky booty side? So basically, how do I explain this? She basically says, give me the D. And she's not talking about his last name. Look, I know that Fox was just purchased by Disney, all right? But to immediately introduce Wanda as a face hugger, she just latches onto his face and basically impregnates him with her little, Scarlet stuff. I'm just saying that was a bit much. That was a bit much. So we're seeing a little something there, and she's playing this a little bit manipulative, like, because she also fends off the advances of Simon Williams' Wonder Man, which is a real damn shame. It's a real shame, but they did have a very toxic relationship. She scratched off his D. Okay, she scratched off his D. Go back and look it up. West Coast Avengers West Coast, whatever. It was bad. It was bad. How could you get with a woman who did something like that? I'm just saying. Good thing it's ionic. Anyway, and then finally Cap shows up, and he's talking to Rogue. He's like, hey, why don't you rejoin and be cool? She's like, yeah, I can't do that. Just like you can't rejoin, I don't want to rejoin. But you ever call me, I will be here. And she's cool. She's like, I know it wasn't you. It's hard, but I know it's not you. That it wasn't you, the bad, version of you, the Hydra Cap, which is cool. So let's just recap exactly what happened here. Basically, Mark Waid, the writer of this comic, he brings up the Secret Empire, something that pretty much nobody else has done. All right. And people are accusing him of not bringing it up really in his own comic book. Well, it's brought up here. Hi. More than that, he brings up the Royals comic book, where, the Inhumans, like Queen Medusa, formerly Queen Medusa, left. She went off planet and all that stuff. He brought that up. He also brought up the whole Spider-Man thing because, the Baxter building was sold over in that comic book right before Johnny Storm wound up becoming a billionaire. So since he can't buy that, it was turned into condo hotels, which that's what it was in the first place, aside from the top, 5 floors? Anyway, he winds up buying and permanently making it the home of the Avengers. Actually puts like diversified stocks and entries and all that good stuff. So stocks and bonds. So it's self-sustaining at this point. They'll still find a way to screw that up. But the idea is that was pretty darn charitable, if I do say so myself. That being the case, he gives reference to what happened in The Amazing Spider-Man back in the Secret Empire crossover. So that's a lot. Look, I'm just saying. First off, the comic was beautifully written. On top of that, he's pretty much his own editor in this. So Axel Alonso is out, and probably for that comment about, fans don't want diversity. Excuse me, I'm good with diversity. You don't speak for me, dude. But nonetheless, Tom Brevoort is in. Do we have room for another, senior assistant editor? Look, I'm just saying Marvel has got a huge problem right now with their editing. A huge problem. Nobody's editing anything, all right? For them, they're maybe doing spell checks. I imagine that the writers are competent enough to do that for themselves. But the idea of actually looking and saying, "Hey, this can't actually happen because of this. Oh, that can't actually happen because of that." I miss that Marvel used to do that. And the idea that all of these things were referenced here, this genuinely warmed my heart, and it makes me happy. So not only do we have somebody who's writing good characters, but they're writing the characters the way they're supposed to be, and it seems as though, oh my God, imagine this, a writer is actually reading other comic books. That's insane. And I don't begrudge any other writer for not reading everybody else's comic books. Just come on, you can't. But at the same time, this was really refreshing, seeing that another writer has actually paid attention to other, because the editors sure as hell aren't doing that. So anyway, hopefully that'll change with Tom Brevoort. The guy's a freaking genius mastermind with all things Marvel. He might actually have more Marvel trivia than me, but I wouldn't bet against me so quick. That being said, January 10th is when the weekly No Surrender is supposed to come out, Avengers No Surrender, and right before that, Avengers number 675. So No Surrender weekly. All these other titles, for the most part, are going to spill into there, and we're going to get some 5 weeks in a row of epic awesomeness, and it's supposed to be really good. Also, this ends showing the new version of the Avengers statue, which I thought was pretty cool. With that extra, the Solar Girl, whatever her name is. The little mix-up. Wasp is now on the finger of... Anyway, so you get the point. So, dude, I'm going to give this comic book an A+. There is zero wrong in this. I can't find a single thing wrong with this comic book. The art is on point. The writing, I already went into that. Seriously, beat a dead horse, shall I? This is essentially the perfect comic book. Excuse me, zero complaints. Let's move on from there. Guys, Professor Bell, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.